Yeah, welcome, spectators from hopefully all over the world watching the mothergrid live stream on this Wednesday. And my guest today, you can already see him in the left down corner, is Lars Liliengren, and I'm very proud to have him here. Lars Liliengren is the head of production of the famous Roskilde Festival, which takes place on 8 days every year, attracting around about 100,000 visitors and playing, and 180 bands are playing there. And I gathered with Lars to find out how he manages this great challenge, and of course to hear a little bit about the history of the Roskilde Festival, because the first edition of the festival took place in 1971, so last year was the 50th edition of the Roskilde Festival in Denmark. But first, let's talk about Lars. A warm welcome to you, Lars, at first.
Thank you, Marcus.
Hi.
Uh,
Before we talk about the history of the Roskilde Festival, what about you? Where did you start? What were your first? What was your first experience with the Roskilde Festival?
well, Roskilde Festival is a big thing in Scandinavia and Denmark. It's a 130,000 cap festival, and so it's something that's been close to all of us. But I didn't attend the festival until 2006, I think. I'm born in '73. I come from the middle of Denmark, Odense, the hometown of Hans Christian Andersen, and I got into to playing in amateur bands in Odense, playing guitar, and then I wasn't really that good at it. I still enjoy playing guitar, but it got me into to volunteer organizations in Odense, and through that, later on, when I moved to Copenhagen, I got into to other organization where I did concerts production as a volunteer. My background is actually that I have bachelor in education. So I used to teach at a boarding school, English and social studies, and through my network, I ended up being a full-time production manager at a booking agency in Copenhagen, and joined the Roskilde Festival as a full-time employee in 2014. Um, Before that, I had been a volunteer production manager at the second largest stage at Roskilde, Arena Stage. I began there in 2008. So my background is, I guess, like a lot of other people in production and touring, a mix of everything we've done in our lives.
Yeah, great. So, and before we continue, everyone who wants to ask a question or have a comment, please type it in the live chat on the YouTube side, and I will try to answer everything together with Lars. Lars, you brought along some pictures, and the first one you sent me seems very old. Is it from the first edition in 1971? I will show it to our viewers right now, and we see something that could be a merch stand at the 2022 festival, maybe. Yeah,
Yeah.
what people were it that started the whole Roskilde thing?
The first festival took place in '71, and it was two college kids in Roskilde who were very much inspired by Woodstock Festival, and they decided to put up a 2 day festival on on the farmers market ground where we still have our main site in Roskilde, and they did it in September, and it became a massive success already in year one. They had 10,000 people attending a day. The biggest problem back then was that there are no credit cards or uh, no easy way to handle money. So they had a good friend who was also the booking agent for selling artists to the festival. He had a Mercedes, and he offered to store all the money for the two young guys in his car. And when the festival was over, he decided to head left on the highway instead of going back to Copenhagen, and ended up in Hamburg spending all the money from the first festival. So we were almost bankrupt after year one, but the two young guys were approached by the Roskilde Foundation, which is a foundation with the focus of helping young people and children in need. Um, and they approached the two guys and said, let's make this into a charity event." So that's why if you see the logos of Roskilde Festival, it will say non-profit since 1972. even though we did a festival in 1971. We've been a charity organization since 1972, and many people think of us as a concert promoter. We're not. The entire profit of every year's Roskilde Festival goes directly to charity. And since 71, we've been able to donate around 55 million euros to charity, with the main focus for helping young people and kids.
This is quite a sum. Okay. And now let's take a look at one of the last years where the festival took place, and now it looks like this. We have an aerial view now from the festival, but I think we have another picture because now you're directly over the stage with your picture in picture. Yeah, this is nice. So, and the 100,000 people, they come over the 8 days.
We have a festival where we kick off our campsite experience. It's quite a big part of the festival for young people, which takes place actually kicks off 4 days before we open the main site. And we have around 75 people camping and listening to music, having parties. We have a recreational area with basketball, soccer, but the camp experience is quite a bit thin. And what we do at Roskilde is actually we built the 4th largest city in Denmark, and it takes us around 3 weeks to set up the festival. So during the festival, we're the 4th largest city in Denmark.
Okay, and one very special thing about the Roskilde Festival is that you work a lot with volunteers.
Yeah, I said that we are 130,000 people at the festival. Around 100,000 are guests and 30,000 are volunteers. The organization, Roskilde Festival, the foundation, roughly around 10,000 of them are volunteers. A couple of thousand are volunteers all year round, and they do everything from security, running the stages, building the site, planning the site, running the beer stalls. So it's a very different organization with the involvement we have of all the volunteers.
Okay, and at this point I can imagine that some of our viewers are now sitting there and wondering themselves, oh, and are they also allowed to push the buttons of the lighting and sound consoles? What about that?
No, they're allowed to, but we still use professional technicians for light and sound and IMAX screens, and we also have professional electricians coming in, because there are certain things where you need a lot of experience and skills, and you have to be trained with the size of festival that we do, which is so it's different chores that volunteers are into, but we do have volunteer production managers who will run a stage with professional technicians, and that works quite well for us.
And how do the artists react on the specialties of the Roskilde Festival? I think most of them will find it good, but are there also some who say, not so much my cup of tea?
They don't really realize it. What we get from the volunteers is something really special, and I think many artists who visit Roskilde Festival also feel this orange feeling, as we call it, the community that you become part of. So we sort of we break down borders between being a volunteer and a professional, and they work hand in hand, and they have different chores and different responsibilities, but it works really well.
Okay. And for the sound engineers, especially, you founded the RF Tech program, which does not mean radio frequency tech program, as I misread it at first, but it means, of course, Roskilde Festival tech program. And what is this?
It was inspired by some of the talks we had with Meyer Sound when we kicked off a strategic partnership. We wanted to not directly do changes in this industry, but we wanted to train people who were technicians who had been working for many years in the industry, and try to give them something that that wasn't about the technical side of the business, but also about how you work as a group, how you work with yourself, how you develop your own skills. And for us as promoter, it was quite obvious for us that we needed technicians who are in a position such as front of house, where you meet a band's front of house people, that you are able to explain what we as an event want to achieve with the different stages, what kind of atmosphere we're trying to create, so that they were able to communicate and understand the strategy of the festival, why we're there. And I think that's essential for all technicians, that if you start working with the strategy of your customer, or what you're set out to create as a whole, and just saying, no, I'm just doing sound. No, you're not. You're creating communities at Roskilde Festival. That's what we're here for. We want to bring people together, and bringing the sound is a very important element, that you're able to hear the music well, that you have a really good experience. So I think we wanted to elevate people to the next level, so that you also would begin working with your own skills, and maybe starting develop new things within your professionalism and what you do. All this to elevate people, and to able to enable technicians to see themselves as having a lifelong career.
Okay, so you're not just teaching in the RF Tech program how to push and pull buttons to make good sound. It's all about, or it's a lot about, the soft skills around the hard skills.
Very much, and it's a lot of it is group work, and we have psychologists coming in, anthropologists also teaching in the course about behavior, culture. So it's also about creating a community for the sound technicians at the festival. So being a touring technician can be a lonely life, and where do I have colleagues who are not competitors, but someone that I can talk to, be confidential with. That is also the community that we strive to create through the RF Tech program.
You mentioned Meyer Sound. The company is a strong partner for Roskilde for several years. I don't know exactly since when, but it's been a long time. And as I understood you, it's not only Meyer Sound lending you some equipment, but it's also a very deep partnership concerning the mindset of the Roskilde Festival and Meyer Sound, if I get that right.
Yeah, we have a shared mindset. I mean, Helen and John Meyer, they're out of the summer of love, just like Roskilde Festival, inspired by Woodstock and whatever went on in the late 60s, early 70s. So we have a shared mindset. Actually, we want to do great concert, but we also want to change the world, make the world to a better place. So these were the kind of weird talks that we also had, and therefore it was natural for us to with Meyer Sound to look into creating the RF Tech program, which is about changing some of the things happening in our industry, and making the world a better place. So even though there are loudspeaker manufacturer, or partnership is about so much else, what we gained as a promoter from working with Meyer Sound is that we have, during the main days, we have a very small site. I think it's 1.4 kilometers times 800 meters, and we have 6 stages ranging in the capacity of 1,100 to plus 60,000. So we learned a lot about our site, where to place the stages, and how what systems were needed to avoid noise bleed from one stage to another. And also we do research projects with Meyer Sound and the Danish Technical University on site. In 2018, Meyer Sound, what's his title? He's a professor, Roger Swenke. If anyone's familiar with him, he's working with Meyer Sound, and he did a project where he measured the temperature during the day at the orange side. So how did the change of the humidity of the audience, the change of the weather during the day with sunlight and darkness, did it have any influence on sound? So he did a research project on that. And in 2019, he did something called the sonic crystals, where he created different structures and placed them in different positions in front of speakers, and thereby canceling some of the sound. So you would change the mix. You wouldn't change what you heard when you walked around the piece, but it would change frequencies in the mix.
Okay. And do I have a chance to see a prototype from Meyer Sound at one of the upcoming festivals? Is this also a bit a test range for upcoming new products sometimes?
I have not seen any black products with no title or anything on, but there's no doubt that a lot of the knowledge that went into the Panda, I think they gained a lot of experience from Roskilde Festival, and what it also becomes a community for Meyer Sound, because when you have system techs working all over the world, there is one place where many of them get to meet each other, and that is at Roskilde Festival, where they design the system. All the systems are designed by Bob McCarthy and Merlin and Dennis Tolema. Signs off on design of the system. Then we have the vendor bringing in the systems, and Meyer Sound signs off on the final tuning with us on all of the systems. And actually, through the RF program, we created something which we call the circle of trust. So whenever a system is handed over, everyone involved with the system, it being RF techs, the vendor of the system, and Meyer Sound techs, and even sound techs with bands coming in on the day when we do the circle of trust, they all get to pitch in. Everyone listens to the system, everyone listens in, and if there's anything that we find out we need to adapt, we will do. And we even do it through the festival. If we learn something by listening to the system, we will adapt with Meyer Sound and our vendor through the festival. I mean, we're not done till we close the gates Saturday night after the festival.
Okay. And sorry, do you have any success stories of 30,000 volunteers a year? There must be one or two that you find the next year at one of the biggest festivals in South America as a production manager or something like that. Are there many young people coming from Roskilde making careers in other parts of the world?
Yep, some are, and also through the RF Tech program, because usually when you hire technicians, it's very often that they come in with the system from the vendor. But what we changed with the RF Tech program was that we made the festival accessible for many technicians. You could apply. It was an open call, and one of the applicants, Sana from Beirut, she joined us in 2018 as a monitor tech, and she was at Avalon stage and later moved on to the second largest stage, Arena stage. And in 22 she was back again, but now hired by Meyer Sound. So she's now a system tech for Meyer Sound in the Middle East and Africa. And we have many stories like that. And it doesn't have to be a career during Roskilde Festival, but for many people it turns out to be an opportunity and an open window to jump onto to a position in the business.
Okay, great. So, and after the last 3 years of massive challenges concerning Corona and other things now, how did that affect Roskilde Festival? And do you have any? Do you plan any major changes for the upcoming years? Because you say the world has changed a lot. We can't keep Roskilde as it always was. We also have to adopt the festival to the current situation worldwide.
Yeah, I mean, COVID-19 was a mess, and now we have things going on in the Ukraine, which does affect prices in Europe quite a lot with inflation right now. So we're looking into how we're going to do the festival for the future. But I would say that right now, big events in Denmark looks like they're well off into 2023. We've already kicked off our ticket sales, and we're ahead of forecasts. So some things for 23 look good. So there is, of course, a challenge with the shortage of crew and tech that we experienced in 22, and that I think that's really put the emphasis on how important it is to train people properly so that they're able to see a long-term career and expand what they do in the business.
So you think it's still worth looking for a career in the business?
I think it is, but I think education is key for a good work life in the business.
Okay, nice final words. Lars Liliengren, thank you very much for this interview. Today I talked to Lars Liliengren, who is the head of production at Roskilde Festival. And if you are curious now, the next festival will take place. Help me, Lars.
Last week of June and first week of July.
Okay, so last week of June and first week of July in 2023, Roskilde is the place to be. Many thanks for your time, Lars. Many thanks for your time watching. And if you liked it, give me a like and abonnement. You know all that stuff that is helpful for YouTubers. And have a nice day, Lars. Goodbye.
Thank you.